right, welcome to another episode of the Fake Football Analysts. I'm your host, the most Aaron Cash. We are here with Christian Cruz from the Giant Topic, and just regular in life, you know. Hollywood Ray thought he was too cool, so he's all Hollywood on us tonight, and rightfully so, because it's our top 15 NFL draft show. But before we get started, make sure you follow the Giant Topic on all media platforms if there's any Giant fans out there. And then obviously you can see right here in these corners. Make sure you follow us, the Fake Football Analyst, _ Fake Analyst for our Twitter. I always say it's Twitter. And then for our TikTok, it's the same thing. So, Christian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about some of these draft prospects. I think both you and I have a very solid top 15 consensus board. And the draft is approaching. So, what better time than to do this stream for you guys? And I appreciate you having me on again, man. So definitely excited.
Of course. As much as people like my solo show, I think they like me with someone else better. So we before we talked about on the show, our top 15s are a little bit different, but a little bit of the same. So we'll go down from 15 to 10. And Christian, we'll start off with you first, and then we'll go to me, and then we'll see.
Yeah, so we could do okay. So like you said, 15 to 10. I'll go through these real quick, and then once I go through them, I'll do like my pros and cons with each one. If you want to kind of bounce it that way, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, you're good.
Let's do it. All right, cool. So at 15, I have Vega Uyana. I know I butchered the hell out of his name. I apologize. Interior offensive lineman out of Penn State. This, Aaron, is the best interior offensive lineman in this draft class. When you watch him, right, he's a powerful player. He's powerful at the point of contact. Strong hands, a very intelligent player. He's great in the run game. I think he's a solid pass rusher as well. But one thing that I love about his game is that he plays angry. Right, he's an athletic freak. I do think that he needs to work on getting vertical a little bit better, but overall, I think he's one hell of a player. 14, I got Spencer Fano, tackle out of Utah. Another versatile player, right? He could play on the inside at tackle. He could play on the, outside at tackle. He could play on the inside as an interior offensive lineman, which I could see him being one of those players that translates well to the inside compared to the outside. He's smart. Again, similar to Vega, he has great hands at the point of contact. He is a physical freak. Now, I will say he did struggle against some elite defenders, such as when they played Texas Tech, right, this past season. I think that there are times where, he could be better in the run game, but I think whoever can draft this kid, if he goes to a good system, he could be one of the better offensive linemen in the NFL as a rookie. So I have him at 14. 13, I have Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon, a red zone threat, a great blocker. He's versatile. I loved his 40 time at a 4.39. At a tight end position, that is incredible. I think he's a freak athlete. He's one of those players I'm actually very curious to see where he falls, because I could see him either being a top 12 to top 18 pick. I think that's kind of where his range is. At number 12, I have Gerard McCoy, corner out of Tennessee. This one, I might get a little bit of pushback, right? I think when healthy, he is viewed as the top corner in this draft class. I think that he's a weapon in your secondary. His 2024 tape was amazing. Now, he is coming off of that ACL injury, so I think there are going to be a lot of questions as to how does he come back? Pause. From the ACL. But, judging off of his pro day, he was running with, he was running like he was perfectly healthy, right? And none of these guys are 1,000% healthy, obviously, but that's the biggest question is how is he going to look coming off of the ACL? And just going off of his pro day, if a team is willing to take the risk, that risk might benefit in their favor. So that's 12 with Gerard McCoy. 11, I have Mekhi Lemon out of USC. Kind of gives me shades of JSN. I think he's a crisp route runner. I think he has the best spatial awareness at the wide receiver position in the draft. You could argue that he's probably the wide receiver one over Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. But to me, I think that he's a player who, despite hearing rumors that he's falling down in draft stock, in terms of the draft stock, I think that he's a player that if he goes to a team like Baltimore or like the Rams, he's instantly in contention for your wide receiver one. Maybe not the Rams, but definitely with Baltimore, yes. I think that, again, crisp at the line. He can play inside, outside. He is a weapon for your quarterback and for your offense completely. And at number 10, I have Francis Muaga, part of your Miami Hurricanes, right? I thought he had a phenomenal season at the right tackle position. In my opinion, I do think that he is the best offensive lineman in this draft class. I think that he plays with tenacity. He is a physical freak. I think that he plays with anger and rage. I really do think that he's a versatile player as well. I think he needs to work on being better at being vertical, But overall, I think he's a phenomenal player. So I know I kind of dragged it out a little bit, but that's my two to number 10.
Hey, that's why we're analysts, right? We gotta do what we gotta do. So mine was, excuse me, I was a little bit similar, but I had a few that were different. So for my 15, I had Akeem Mesidor out of the U. So you're going to see a lot of U prospects coming out of my top 20. Well, not my top 15. So just watch out. I know I'm not being biased for being a Miami fan. That's just how good Mario Cristobal has been developing his players. So at first, he was a D tackle from West Virginia. Then he came down to the U, worked with Jason Taylor. So, I mean, he's just a Hall of Famer. I mean, you know, for the ex-Miami Dolphin ex-Miami Dolphin Redskin jet. So the good thing about Mesidor is that he likes to bull rush offensive tackles. So he'll come in, he bends very well because that's what Jason Taylor teaches his defensive ends, even D-line over there. So he gets to the quarterback, good pressure. I could see him being in that 15 to 20 range. So that's why I put him as my top 15, just because he is a little bit older as well. He is 24 years old, but he just has those hands that once he gets into the offensive tackle, he knows how to break off. So I put him at 15. And then I have national champion Omar Cooper Jr. Now, I watched his 40 time, and because there wasn't a lot of like receivers that were out there, and I believe it was a 4.39, almost a 4.4. But the way that his separation, but the way that he was catching the passes at the combine, his route running was crisp. And then you look at his tape, and that separation off the receivers was great. He did have his foot in against Penn State. If you look at that tape, that's an unbelievable catch. So I could see him going in that top 15 area. I don't think he's going to be the first wide receiver off the board. I think he might be the second one off the board, but that's just me. And then at 13, I have Sadiq. I always say Sadiq Bey. I think of the basketball player, but it's not. So
you're not alone in that. I just want to say you're not alone.
I'm the only one with Kenyon Sadiq. So I feel like he's number 13. He's the best tight end in the draft out of Oregon. And honestly, like, it's going to sound weird, but I could see like the Saints grabbing him at 8. It's either that or a receiver, just because Taysom Hill, I think he went to Pittsburgh. He signed there. So they do need a tight end. And that would be actually pretty good for Tyler Shaw, having his like number one guy. And if you really wanted to replicate the old Saints with Jimmy Graham and all that, I think Kenyon Sadiq is your guy for that at 13. And I also have, I believe it's Spencer Fanu from Utah. Great hands. I believe he can play both tackle positions. I thought he was pretty good in the Pac-12. Well, actually, that's not the Pac-12 anymore. The Pac-10. So I think that he's going to be a good offensive lineman. I don't think he's going to be the first one off the board. I think he might be the second or the third one. But from what I keep seeing, it's like a toss-up between him and Malaga. So, I mean, you really can't go wrong with that offensive lineman. He can definitely protect your quarterback no matter who you have out there. And then I have at 11, I have Mekhi Lemon. I think he's better than Jordan Tyson. I think Jordan Tyson is just too small. Jordan Tyson is giving me N'Keal Harry vibes. And I think he's going to drop a lot in the draft. So I have Mekhi Lemon. He's a good slot receiver. He reminds me of the Giant Steve Smith. That's kind of like my comparison. And coincidentally, Steve Smith did go to USC. So I think that would be great. I mean, again, that could be a good receiver for the Chiefs. It could be for even though I don't think the Chiefs will do it at 9. Let me pull up the draft order real quick. I could see him going to Washington. I can see him going to the Bengals just because, like, you have Joe Burrow, so why not have a slot guy? So I can see Mekhi Lemon going there. And then at 10, I have Vega. I'm going to say Lone. It could be. I probably messed it up too. Vega Lone. I keep seeing him going to the Giants. I've seen a couple like that, so I'm just curious as to where they're trying to put him. But nonetheless, I can see him going down in the draft as well. So I can see him going to Miami. They need a tackle. They've needed a tackle for 2 years since Armstead left. You can see him at guard position. So I think Miami's probably their best shot. We got a comment here from Emerald City Gridiron. What's up? So the real question is, who out of them could be the one to slide down the board?
How far are we talking? Because, I mean, I think there's a couple players that we listed that I think could fall, whether it's Gerard McCoy, who I had at 13. I had him at 12. I could see that.
I could see Mesidor going down, even though I project him in the 15 to 20. I could get him down more to, let's say, the Texans at 28, or even the Browns at 24 if they wanted an edge rush.
I can see that. I mean, I can see Mekhi Lemon as well falling too. I think there's a couple players that kind of fit that for sure.
I can see Mekhi Lemon with Baltimore at 14.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because it's who do they have for receivers?
Yeah. No. I agree. And especially with Isaiah Likely leaving as well, they definitely need some more weapons. So I agree with you there. But,
yeah, exactly.
Number 9?
Yep. So now we're on the 9 to 5, or however you want to do it, 10 to 5.
Yeah. No. Yeah, we can do a 9 to 5. So that's good with me. You want me to go first, or you want to tackle?
I'll go this one. So from my 10 or whatever, it's Ruben Bain. Again, you're going to hear a lot of Miami from me just because we are producing Canes with Mario Cristobal. So yes, Ruben Bain has little arms. No, that's not going to stop him. Again, he's been taught by Jason Taylor. He's been in Jason Taylor's system with the same thing as Akeem Mesidor the last 3 seasons. He has the most pressures off of David Bailey, who David Bailey is projecting to be a top 3-4, depending on the team. And he had 83 pressures last year, whereas David Bailey had 81. And David Bailey was a DN linebacker hybrid type, whereas Ruben Bain is a DN. Yes, he could get probably caught up with an offensive tackle because of small arms, but the way that Ruben Bain, he sticks to football, he just plays football. He has that mentality. I can see him going in possibly a top 5 to 8 spot. It all just depends on really the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion.
I agree.
Next, I have Mesidor Delane, cornerback from LSU Tigers. Kept seeing that one a lot with the Giants. I don't blame whoever is the analyst at NFL Network because the Giants need a cornerback. So I wouldn't oppose to that. At 5, I mean, there's still a lot of options, but I definitely think Mesidor over McCoy. This could be a hot take. I think he will get picked before him early in the first round. And then I have Francis Mauaga. Again, another Cane. Christian already talked about him. So I actually project him either going to Cardinals or Titans. So that's how high I have him. I think he will be the first offensive tackle or offensive lineman taken off the board just because of his skill set. He's primarily right tackle, and I think that would be perfect for the Cardinals because they have Paris Johnson from Ohio State on the left side, and he's actually been pretty good on that blind side. So I think that combination right there will help Gardner Minshew in Arizona. And then I have Arvell Reese coming at next. I'm a little iffy on Arvell Reese. I said it before we started the show. I feel like he is a Golston from Ohio State. If everybody remembers him, he was drafted high with the Jets, Vernon Golston. I feel just because he only had really that 1 year of dominance. And yes, he is a hybrid type where he played linebacker and DN, and just the way that his style of play with Matt Patricia was translating for that Ohio State defense. He has a motor. He's very fast. I believe it also was like a 4.4, I believe, at the combine. So he can get to the quarterback. I'm not saying he can't, but I just feel like how raw he is. Someone's going to take a chance on him too early, and I feel like it's going to kind of mess him up. I would like to see him drop, but I don't think it's going to happen. Right. And then my last one, I have Carnell Tate, and I think he'll be the first receiver off the board. There's really no explanation to say, just because every Ohio State wide receiver the last 5 seasons that got drafted in the first round has been amazing. So there's really nothing much you can say. And Brian Hartline was a genius there before he went to University of South Florida in the offseason to be their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly that's a solid 9-5 list. And I think you and I, with some of these players, we're going to see a lot of these players we're going to see eye to eye on, despite maybe having them at different numbers on our list. But I thought that was a very solid list, and I agree with everything that you said. So yeah, for me, at my number 9, I have Mansour Delane out of LSU. I think he's great in coverage, man. I think that he's a physical corner. I think whether you need him to play zone, whether you need him to play man, he'll be able to get it done. Right now, currently, obviously with the status of Gerard McCoy, he is viewed, right, as the best corner in the draft class. He is a shutdown corner. He's someone who I think he's going to get picked within the top 10. If he falls out of the top 10, I don't see him going past 12 to Dallas because they desperately need secondary help. I'm sure they're hoping that he falls down to them. But yeah, Mansour Delane I have at number 9. 8, I have your Miami Hurricanes, Ruben Bain. Listen, he should not fall. He's going to fall. But he should not fall. It is. That's literally all it is, because he's great against the rush game and the pass as well. He has a high motor. I thought he had a great season with Miami. I mean, he is just a physical specimen, Aaron. And I think that if he falls to where the Chiefs are, I could absolutely see the Chiefs taking a chance on him to provide more help to that defensive line, which, let's be honest, was not that good last year. I think teams are going to overthink this, because really the only negative that comes is the arms, right? And I get it, right? Because when you look at what we just saw in the Super Bowl with Will Campbell, right? Short arms, and he's just getting beat consistently, right? How is it going to be when an offensive tackle like Lane Johnson, who has one of the longer arms in the NFL at the offensive tackle position, gets his arms on him? Now, I understand that he has an elite bend. He's quick off of the line. He's physical as well. He has some moves in his arsenal, but that is a concern that teams are going to have. At number 7, I have Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. I think he's outstanding, Aaron. I think he's a smooth route runner. To me, I think he has good speed. He has great hands, and I think that he'll produce wide receiver 1 numbers. But to me, that is the biggest question. Is Carnell Tate a wide receiver 1, or is Carnell Tate a wide receiver 2? And I think it's ultimately going to come down to what team does he go to, and does he take that next step forward to be that wide receiver 1? Playing at Ohio State, obviously you have Jeremiah Smith, who, let's be honest, he's probably going to be a top 3 pick next year if he even plays remotely close to how he's been playing since he entered the league. But how is he going to play when he's asked to be that wide receiver 1? And I agree with what you said. I think that he's ultimately going to be the number 1 wide receiver taken off of the board, whether it's a team like Cleveland or a team like Tennessee, who, despite them getting Wan'Dale Robinson, could still use some more help for their young quarterback in Cam Ward. Number 6, I have Caleb Downs, another Ohio State Buckeye. You could make an argument that he's the best defensive player in the entire draft class, regardless of position, right? He does it all. He plays tough. He's extremely smart, which I don't think he gets a lot of credit for despite that. And I think that he's very versatile. I think that he could play great in coverage. He could play great in the box. He could do all the things that you need him to do and then some. I think a lot of teams are overthinking, one, the value of the position, because he is a safety, right? And not a lot of teams value the safety position. And two, I see some teams complaining, or excuse me, I see some fan bases complaining about his size. First of all, he's 6 foot, right? And he even looks bigger, for his size. But some of the best safeties in NFL history were below the height of 6 foot. And listen, if he was playing the quarterback position, if he was a linebacker, hell, if he was your cornerback one, right, I would maybe be there with you. But at the safety position, I just think teams are overthinking it. And I think that a team, who overthinks it and lets it pass, I mean, they're going to make a big mistake. So 6, I have Caleb Downs. Number 5, this one was a little tricky for me because my number 5 and my number 4 to me are interchangeable. But number 5, I have David Bailey out of Texas Tech, a beast on the edge, right? You can make an argument, is the best. Not, you can't make an argument. You can absolutely make an argument, but he is without a doubt the best pure edge rusher in this entire class. I mean, the motor on this kid is phenomenal. I think, he's absolutely worth a top 3 pick in this draft class. I think that he's a freak of nature. I think that, he is a monster on the field. And whatever team is lucky enough to get him, and I hope personally that it's the Tennessee Titans, because I think that he could be that Nick Bosa for Robert Saleh. They're going to get a stud. They are going to get a freak. They are going to get a stud. He causes havoc in the backfield. He causes havoc for offensive linemen. Yeah, number 5, need more. I have nothing else to say besides that. David Bailey out of Texas Tech.
Yeah, you pretty much stole my number 4 with David Bailey, so I'll just kind of piggyback on that one. I actually think he might go to the Jets. Like I said, I know Arvell Reese is out there. I just feel like he's a Vernon Golston, and I don't think the Jets want to make that same mistake. And Aaron Glenn, he loves defensive players. And also, too, that would probably be like the highest a Texas Tech linebacker or even player would be this high in the draft at number 2. So, he was a Stanford Cardinal his first 2 years of his college career. But then the way that he was playing there, they weren't using him right. And then when we went to Texas Tech, they were like, yeah, I think we could use him perfectly. And he had 14 and a half sacks, solid frame, basically jumps off the ball. I think whoever gets him is going to have a great linebacker on hand. And I've seen a lot of scouts and even, analysts on NFL Network, ESPN, they're comparing him to Fred Warner. And that's pretty good company if you're getting compared to Fred Warner. So, yeah, I have Bailey at 4. Number 3, I think me and you probably have the same from 3 to 1, is Sonny Styles. I mean, the combine pretty much solidified he is going to be a top 3 player drafted, or 4. It kind of just depends on the team. But if this guy drops and he's at 5 with the Giants, I know I just said, Mesor Delane, but if he's there at 5, could you imagine him and Abdul Carter together? It would be absolutely amazing having that combo there. And then you have Brian Burns doing what he needed to do like he did last year. So the way that he played, all you got to do is turn on the Big Ten championship game, and that's it. He was the best player on that team, and Indiana had 24 and 25-year-olds. So that's all I can really say about Sonny Styles. I love his game. He's tall. He gets the ball, and he played in basically an NFL defensive scheme at Matt Patricia. So that's all you really need to know about Sonny Styles. Number 2, I don't like this, but it's got to be done. Jeremiah Love. People are putting him in the top 4. They're putting him for Tennessee. They're putting him for the Giants. I don't like that for a running back. I feel like it's way too much pressure. They are saying that basically he could be a little bit better than Saquon, and I thought Saquon was a freak of nature coming out of Penn State and getting drafted at number 2. I think that puts too much pressure on Jeremiah Love, and I think he needs to slide, if that makes sense, just because he needs to be on a team where it's not that much pressure. I can see him at the Chiefs at number 9. I know they got Kenneth Walker, but I think if you put Kenneth Walker and Jeremiah Love because they've never really had a good 1-2 punch for a while. Like I like, some they had like Samaje P. Ryans, they've had the Pachecos, they've had Kareem Hunt coming back. It's just if you have Jeremiah Love and Kenneth Walker, that's a good 1-2 punch. I think that would be the best team for Jeremiah Love to go to. And then obviously number 1 is Fernando Mendoza. I don't think he's the best quarterback in this draft. I think he has to be the best quarterback in this draft just because of who's coming out. I've seen him at Cal. I saw him at the 1 year in Indiana. I just feel like going to the Raiders is going to break this kid's soul. I feel like Vegas, Sin City is going to break him. He is going to fold. And I don't know if you noticed at his pro day, he's doing a little double tap. Wasn't there another quarterback that did that? There was. So I don't know. He is
funny how the tables turn, right?
Exactly. So I know he's the number 1 prospect for everybody. I just feel like he has to be, if that makes sense, quarterback wise.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely talk about Fernando Mendoza on this list as well. But I agree with a lot of the things that you were saying as well. Yeah, for me at number 4, I have Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. I think he has a high ceiling, right? Like I said, between him and David Bailey, I thought they were interchangeable on my list. But exactly. He has a high ceiling. He played 2 different positions at Ohio State. I thought he had a phenomenal combine. He was just outshined by his teammate, Sonny Styles. I think that he could get to the quarterback at an elite level. I think he's a game wrecker. I think right now a lot of people have him penciled in to go to the Jets. And I do have concerns with that, but they have nothing to do with Arvell Reese and have everything to do with the Jets as an organization, right? If he went to a team like the Rams, if he went to a team like Baltimore, if he went to a team, even hell, like Cleveland, I would have a ton of more confidence that they would be able to get more out of this kid than what the Jets would. And it's unfortunate if he does go to the Jets. I mean, because Aaron Glenn, I think, is a good defensive coordinator, but the Jets as a whole, they really – this isn't a Jets podcast, but I just don't trust their ability to develop these players, yes. But Arvell Reese, I think, he's a phenomenal player, so I have him at number 4. Number 3, I have Sonny Styles, his teammate out of Ohio State. This, to me, is a player who I am praying as a Giants fan that he is who the Giants select, whether it's at 5 or if they trade down maybe a couple slots and he falls down there, I would love that too. But Sonny Styles, to me, he is a freak of he's a freak of nature. He's a freak athlete. I think that he's elite in coverage. I think he's the perfect linebacker for not just today's NFL, but I think the NFL going forward, right? Because the speed and the tenacity that he plays with, you really can't put a price on that. I think that he's a freak of nature. Converted from the safety position, he's a big player. He is all of 6'5", right? 240 pounds. Sideline to sideline speed is unmatched. He's versatile. I thought that he was great against the run at Ohio State. But obviously the number one thing that people talk about is the combine that he had. And it was a historic combine. So, very intrigued to see where he falls in the draft because I think he could go as high as number 3 to the Cardinals, and I could see him going as low to number 6 or number 7 in this draft class because both of those teams could use a middle linebacker as well. Number 2, I have Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. I don't think there needs to be a lot said here, right? You can make an argument that he is the best pure weapon in this draft class, regardless of it being a running back, regardless of it being wide receiver. I think he has elite hands. He is elite between the tackles. I mean, every play that he touches the ball, every play that he's on the field, if he does touch the ball, right? I mean, just the threat of him being on the field, I mean, that's a touchdown waiting to happen, right? Now, you are seeing people compare him to, the Genties of the world, the Bijan Robinsons, the Saquon Barkleys. I think that he's in that conversation. I don't think that that's, a hot take to say. Now, typically, yes, I would agree with you, Aaron, when we're looking at the positional value. You wouldn't want to take a running back this high. However, I do think that this is going to be the draft class where a lot of teams are going to say, F the positional value, can this player help us win games, right? Because Caleb Downs, who we were just talking about, in my opinion, I think is the best defensive player in this draft class, but he's probably going to fall because of the positional value. But if a team is smart, they'll say, F the positional value. This is a great player. We need to draft great players, and they'll take a swing on him. So whether Jeremiah Love, if he goes to the Tennessee Titans, which I don't think that they should do, but if they do, I think that would be a phenomenal pick. I could see him balling out with the Washington Commanders. I think my fear is that he falls past the Chiefs and he lands to a team like Dallas, who could use a running back. But Jeremiah Love, I think that he's a phenomenal player. I think that he is without a doubt worthy of being ranked number 2. And obviously number 1 is going to be Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. It's clear that he's the best quarterback in this draft class. I think he had a perfect season at Indiana. He can make all the throws. He's mobile when you need him to be mobile. I think he has a solid arm. He is pretty much the carbon copy, right, of what you would want at the quarterback position. He talks like Tom Brady, acts like Kirk Cousins, who's going to be his mentor. So that's a matchmaking heaven right there. I do understand where you're coming from, Aaron, where you say, he'll probably, lose himself being the Raiders quarterback. But I like what the Raiders have done this offseason. The Raiders, for the longest, have been the team that does the wrong thing, right? They don't get it right. But what has this offseason been about, right? The Raiders doing the right thing. They go and overpay for the best center in the NFL with Tyler Linderbaum, right? They go and get some more talent on that defensive line and in the linebacker position. They opened up their wallet. It paid out for them. On top of that, you have Max Crosby coming back into the fold. You went and you got what most people would consider, outside of John Harbaugh, the best coaching candidate in this coaching cycle in Clint Kubiak, who, yes, we're going to see how that translates at the head coaching position. But if we're talking about the offensive mind, he's been one of the best offensive minds in the NFL the last 5 to 6 years. So I think the Raiders, they're turning the tide. It's going to be a little bit of a process here, but I think they're headed in the right direction, which is something that they haven't been able to say for the longest. And now with the opportunity to draft Fernando Mendoza, getting your quarterback, their future is bright. I got to be honest. We'll see how that translates to the division, because they do play in a tough division. But I think Fernando Mendoza, who I think we both can agree is going to be the number 1 overall pick, unless you're Dan Orlovsky, I think that that's a great selection for the Ravens.
Yeah, and before we transition over, I just wanted to say that Jeremiah Love had more yards rushing at the combine than against Miami. I'm just going to put that out there. So big story happened. So I don't know if anybody notices, but obviously Christian is a Giants fan, hence the Giant topic. So make sure you guys follow that, everything, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. He's always putting up Giant stuff. So any Giant fans out there, check out the Giant topic, because Sexy Dexy, the pink Power Ranger from Clemson, wants a trade. So he has 2 years left on his deal. He had 0.5 sacks. Yes, 0.5 sacks last year with Shane Bowen and this Giants defense. Now, I'm hearing it's 60-40. 60, he doesn't want to lose anymore. He wants to go to a winner. And 40 goes to the contract. Is everyone else out there right? Or do you think it's strictly contract? He just wants to make sure he's secure. And I don't blame him, because he is the best D tackle. I have no problem saying that, over Quinnen Williams, over Jalen Carter, over, you name it. I think he's better than. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence, he's without a doubt the Giants' best player, right? Regardless of position, he is their best player. I could see it being a 60-40 situation where, he is making the 12th most at the defensive tackle position. When you see a division rival, right, and the Eagles paying Jordan Jordan Davis a contract that they did, and you see the other. Oh, I just realized my mic was off. Oh my goodness! I'm so sorry. Let me chat. I am so sorry. I did not realize I had turned my mic off. So I will re-say what I was saying. So I agree with you. I think it's possibly a 60-40 situation, right? I think with Dexter Lawrence making the 12th most at the defensive tackle position, and when you're Dexter Lawrence and you see the Philadelphia Eagles give Jordan Davis a contract that he got, and you see what other defensive tackles are making in the NFL, and you're saying to yourself, I'm one of, if not the best at my position. A down year for me, I was ranked 7th out of 121 defensive tackles. You know, I'm an all-pro player. I'm a Pro Bowl player. I am the best player on your team. Pay me like I am one, right? You know, there was a lot of, speculations, going into last season where, you're hearing, him coming off of the elbow injury that he's, maybe not putting in the most effort, in practice. And the team is kind of coddling him. And they were upset that he came to training camp out of shape, and, they didn't really like the energy that he was bringing, and they felt that he was holding in. I can't fault Dexter Lawrence in the sense of, this team has been losing. At the time, the contract was a favorable contract, but I've outperformed the contract despite having 2 years left. You have no one that you're really paying like that, if we're being honest. I mean, I deserve a contract extension. My contract is favorable, but I'm trying to make sure that it's not favorable because I'm your best player on defense. Now, if he does get traded, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he does get traded, I do see him netting the minimum. For me, the floor is what Quentin Williams got with the Jets, right? When they traded him to Dallas, I believe it was a first-round pick, a third, and a player. I could be wrong, but
it was a first, second, and Mozzie Smith.
Yes.
And I think that Dexter Lawrence is at least worth 2 first-round picks.
He is. I was going to say that's the floor for me. That's the start, right? For me to even consider it, right? Because when you have players like Sauce Gardner going for two first-round picks, right? I mean, I think if we're talking about the best nose tackle that we have seen, right? And he's available, and his contract is favorable, and he's just looking to get an extension. On top of that, you're going to get probably 4 to 5 more years of elite play from Dexter Lawrence if he stays healthy. I could see a team, wanting to give up those 2 first-round picks. I don't buy the reports that, talk around the league, he's viewed as a late first, early second-round pick. Baloney. I don't believe it whatsoever. I genuinely don't. So, but I don't think it's even going to get to that. I think he's going to get re-signed. They have the money to do so. They can create void years, which is something they actually don't do as an organization. And you need to keep your best players around because you trade Dexter Lawrence, you are a significantly worse defense, regardless of who you bring in via the draft. Because no one in this draft class is going to be able to replace the production of Dexter Lawrence. So, but Aaron, I think that he's just posturing right now. We've seen so many players, whether it was Lamar Jackson a couple years ago, whether it was Myles Garrett, whether it was A.J. Brown, where these players will request a trade, and ultimately at the end of the day, money talks. So most of the time, these players just want more money, deservedly so, because they typically outperform their contracts. So.
Yeah, because doesn't the new defensive coordinator, I can't think of off the top of my head, Denard Wilson, isn't that like a 3-4? So wouldn't that be great for Dexter Lawrence in general?
It absolutely would. And there's a lot of reports stating that Denard Wilson stood on the table for Dexter Lawrence, talking about how he is the pillar of his defense and that he needs Dexter Lawrence in his defense. That is not a hyperbole. That is not speculation. That is what he said. You can find reports on Twitter from beat reporters, reputable beat reporters, that is what was said, which leads me to believe that I don't believe that he's going to get traded. You're bringing someone in whose scheme is extremely similar to Wink Martindale, which is the system that he performed the best in, right? So
exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I understand that he's frustrated because this team has done a lot of losing, but at the same time, You bring in John Harbaugh. You have a quarterback now. You have promise, right, on the defense with Abdul Carter, Tremaine Edmonds, potentially getting a guy like Sonny Styles. You have Malik Neighbors coming back. He's not going anywhere. Just give him some more money. They can afford it. I think this is something that gets done by the end of the week. If they're smart, they get it done by the end of the week. Because you don't want to go into camp.
Yeah, and I forgot about the Myles Garrett where he did want a trade, and it was literally just because he wanted money. So that's a good game Dexter Lawrence is playing. And in all honesty, like if he really wants to get traded and like get a contract extension with it, I don't blame him. In all honesty, I mean, what have the Giants done besides that one playoff berth with Brian Daboll? Like they've been losing ever since he's been there. So it's like I don't blame him that he wants to, quote, get traded or wants more money. Like he's probably one of the longest tenured players, if not the longest, on this team. So I don't doubt it one bit that he wants what he wants. So that's all I have for my final words on that. Speaking of the trouble, since we're talking about trouble in paradise, Jalen Hurts. Philly, we have a problem. So you actually brought to our attention on the group chat. I didn't even know this was happening. That basically ownership, the general manager is basically telling Jalen Hurts, you have to produce pretty much, I'm going to say Josh Allen numbers with a little bit of Lamar Jackson numbers. Like you have to produce that much in order to get a contract extension. So right now, Jalen Hurts essentially is playing on a 1-year deal. And I find it funny that the MVP like season he had that 1 year, everyone's putting him in the top 5s. He beats Pat Mahomes. He's already in the top 5, top 4 best quarterbacks in the league. And then your team is like, you know what? You haven't earned it, so you need to go earn it. Like, how do in your opinion, what's your thoughts on it? Non-Giants bias, and then how does this affect the locker room / AJ Brown, Hollywood Brown, and Devontae Smith?
I mean, I feel a lot of ways about this Jalen Hurts situation. If I'm taking my biases out of this, right, which I'm going to, but if I take my biases out of this, I think the organization, they received a lot of blowback from how poor the offense looked under Kevin Patullo, right? This is an organization that has lost multiple coaches on the offensive side of the ball since they drafted Jalen Hurts, right? Whether it's for good reason or not, they've lost multiple offensive coordinators. I think that Jalen Hurts is an overrated quarterback. I think that he is surrounded by tremendous play, both at the offensive line, the running back room, the wide receiver room. The year that they went to the Super Bowl, they had a historic defense. And, even in those playoff games, he didn't play well. If you go back and you watch it, he played bad against, the teams that he played against. And he had a very good Super Bowl performance, despite his defense shutting out the Chiefs 30. I think it was like 31-0 at that. So for me personally, I think this is the organization putting Jalen Hurts on notice, saying, hey, we're not going to take all the blame here. We are going to put you on the spot, and we need you to perform better than what you played last year. Now, Aaron, I don't think that he needs to play to a Josh Allen level or a Lamar Jackson level, because I don't think he's that level of quarterback. But I think if he has a better year than what he had last season, if it's comparable to what they saw in his Super Bowl run, I think maybe next year, because this is the last year that he has guaranteed dollars on his contract, I could see them extending him to lower his cap hit. But ultimately, I think this is just the organization putting him on the spot, letting him know, like, hey, remember how you got this starting position, right? We traded Carson Wentz. He had a contract that many deemed was unfavorable. He had a no trade clause on his contract. He waived it. They traded him. So you don't think that organization is going to do the same thing to you? Like at some point, you need to perform better. And I don't think that he's a quarterback that will ever elevate the people around him. I think that he's a quarterback that can steer the ship, but everything needs to be perfect. But I'm not surprised because, Aaron, you know this. We've experienced everything that's been coming out. We've been seeing this as Giants fans. Even the games that we've lost, against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. We're leaving that game saying either Saquon carved us up, the defense for the Eagles really got to the quarterback and caused havoc, and we're saying to ourselves, Jalen Hurts is not that good, but he's in a good situation. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at stats right here. Like the best passing yards that he has in 2023, he had 3,858. He completed 65% of his passes, and his TD interception ratio is 23.15. And in that same year, what was that? So 2023, so he had 15 rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe I am putting a little too much on Philadelphia, where I'm saying he needs to throw like 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns. But I will say he shouldn't be too worried because there's no Tua on the roster in Philly. Like, who they traded for Andy Dalton? It's like, okay, that's not a threat for Super Bowl champion Jalen Hurts. So like, I don't know. I just think you are putting a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. And again, to me, in all honesty, he is a Jag. He's just another guy. He's been like that at Alabama. He did it at Oklahoma. Like he's a good, I would say, a game manager. He's a good game manager, gets it done. He has the roster around him. And then even though the Super Bowl, when they won against the Chiefs, that was all the Eagles defense and Vic Fangio. So it's like, it wasn't even like Jalen Hurts really had to do anything because that defense didn't even blitz Pat Mahomes. It was a 4-man rush. So it's like, I don't know. I kind of like the chaos in Philly right now with A.J. Brown and now Jalen Hurts with what's going on. So I hope they get what they deserve as a Giants fan. But as a analyst on here, I do think he does need to step up just a little bit just so he can get that contract extension.
Likewise, I agree with you 1,000%. And if he doesn't, I would not be shocked if they traded him come next offseason. A team I could see trading a first round or a second round pick for him. So they'll definitely get back, quality compensation. But yeah, I agree with you 1,000%.
So with that, where do you think he could go? If they wanted to trade him or let him just walk in free agency?
I could see him going to a team like Arizona, who I think will take a chance at Ty Simpson, this draft. I could see that. I could see the Pittsburgh Steelers possibly taking a chance on him. If we're being honest here, I could see that playing out. I could see a team like depending on what happens in Atlanta, I could see that.
Ooh.
Like those are the teams. Atlanta, Arizona, and then I would probably say Atlanta, Arizona, and Pittsburgh. Those would be.
I almost thought Indy, and I forgot Daniels there.
Yeah, if they didn't re-sign him, then
yeah. Yeah, just because of the Shane Stetchen relationship. But yeah, I could see Atlanta. That honestly though, that would be good for the culture.
It would be good for the culture, but it's also a good surrounding for him.
True that.
Another situation that's great with the talent that's around him.
Exactly. Yeah, that I could definitely see him doing that in Atlanta. And then, man, I don't want him in Arizona. I just feel like they don't have pieces for him. Like, I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is really good, but it's just like, can he work with, I guess, a downgrade of the wide receiver position? Like Michael Wilson, I think is a good receiver, but he's not like an elite 2, like to Devontae. I mean, I could see him Rams, depending on Matthew Stafford.
I don't know if the Rams would go that route. I think they're going to go either the Ty Simpson route if he falls to the second, or I could see them potentially wait until next year.
So are you saying the Rams will give up on 2-time national champion Stetson Bennett for Ty Simpson?
I could absolutely see it, man. I mean, I could see it. Now the thing with Arizona, I don't think any quarterback, whether it's Hurts, any quarterback in this draft class, I don't see them turning around that organization. From top to bottom, they are a bad organization. They are poorly ran. I understand they got one of the floors, but at the same time, they lack talent both offensively and defensively. They need a lot of help. I think it's going to be a multi-year fix. I could see about 3 years, 4 years. Even if you inserted Hurts in that situation, I don't think that he elevates that team. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Let's do our final thoughts. Before that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on the Fake Football Analyst. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. Make sure you follow Christian here on the Giant Topic. That's on everything: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I'm not even Facebook, but Twitter, all that. And yeah. So, final thoughts. What are your final thoughts?
The draft is approaching. I'm very excited to see how this draft falls. I think that it's not going to go the way that we think it's going to go. I think there's going to be teams trading up. I think there's going to be some teams trading down that we don't expect to be trading down. And I'm very intrigued to see where some of these players that we didn't necessarily talk about that didn't make our list, where they fall as well. But I appreciate you having me on. I'm sure the next time we talk, there'll be some more interesting and exciting stuff, going on in the NFL as the draft approaches. But I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, sometimes when Hollywood's just being Hollywood, sometimes I just need another better co-host. So I have no problem with the Fake Football Analyst being on it. Also, too, for final thoughts, I kind of want to see where there's like underrated players going in this draft. Even the draft season is upon us. Like, I'm very curious of players that you've never heard of, and you're like, wow, they're not in any top fives. Like, I feel like there's gonna be a Cooper Kupp impact player. I feel like there's gonna be. I mean, I could go a little old school, like Terrell Davis type player, or even Steve Smith type players. The Carolina Panthers Steve Smith. So I'm curious what's going to happen in this draft. I just hope the Giants don't mess this one up. The John Harbaugh era, whether it's 5 or if they trade out to 11, 15, whatever you want to do, just make sure it's right. Again, make sure you guys follow us on Fake Football Analyst on TikTok and also on Twitter. _fake analyst. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll see y'all when we see y'all. Peace.